Richard Burr, Kelly Loeffler, Ron Johnson, Jim Inhofe. Those right now are just the handful of Republican senators who we have learned about in less than the last 24 hours were all engaged in some kind of insider trading scandal involving stocks they owned, a briefing that they had about the severity of the pandemic, and then the stocks that they dumped, or in Loeffler's case, purchased after getting this insider information. Here's what we know so far. Let's start with Burr. He was the first one who had a story come out about him, and it's because Burr dumped roughly $1.5 million worth of stock after he was in that classified intelligence briefing in the Senate where they were warned extensively about how bad the pandemic was going to be here in the United States. Burr dumped all his stocks, about, again, $1.5 million worth, and then a week later the stock market crashed. But in Loeffler's case, Loeffler didn't just dump a bunch of stock. She did dump a ton of stock, but she also purchased some. And some of the stock that she purchased, possibly upwards of $250,000 worth, because Loeffler is the richest person in the Senate, she bought stock in a company called Citrix. If you're not familiar with Citrix, I've actually used it before. It is a teleconferencing software. So, when we have a country where everybody's having to work from home, Citrix is making a lot of money. And now, so is Kelly Loeffler, who, by the way, was not elected. She was appointed to fill the vacancy left by a retiring Republican. And her husband also happens to be the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange. The woman is worth about $500 million and never passes up an opportunity to add a little bit more money to that honeypot. Jim Inhofe sold roughly $450,000 worth of stocks after this classified briefing, and Ron Johnson, roughly the same. And Johnson, this was actually surprising, that dude's got an estimated net worth of about $36 million, and he sold up to $25 million. At least $5 million, potentially up to $25 million. So we're talking about a bunch of Republican senators who are all millionaires anyway. Some of them closer to being a billionaire. And they're all just selling their stocks after they have this classified briefing. Some, as Loeffler I pointed out, buying stocks. They also at the same time are out there telling their constituents, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. You have nothing to worry about. Nothing bad's going to happen here in the United States. So they're lying to their constituents. They know how bad the problem is. They understand this will tank the stock market. So they dump all their stock, save all this money, while lying their faces off to the American public. Each and every one of these senators should resign. They should also be forced to resign because of these scandals. So, these are people who already shouldn't have been in the Senate. Let's be honest here, folks. These people are some of the worst members of the United States Senate, and now we're finding out that they likely engaged in criminal activity. Can we be done with them? Can we get rid of them? Might this finally be the straw that breaks the camel's back, at least in the case of Jim Inhofe, a man who has single-handedly been holding up meaningful climate legislation for over a decade? Yeah, let's get that moron out of the Senate immediately, and if it takes a criminal probe to do it, then let's do it. But each one of these people betrayed their office, they betrayed the American public, and they have to go. And in Loeffler's case, she was never even picked by the public to be there. So it is way beyond time for her to get the hell out of Washington, D.C. This is obscene. This is likely criminal. And when you have even people on Fox News calling for these individuals to step down, this isn't something that's going to blow over, folks. This isn't something they're going to be able to whitewash, even though Loeffler herself has been trying to do it. And I'm sure she's got enough money to go out there and run a very nice PR campaign, but it's not going to work. Right now, Americans are frightened. We're losing our jobs. We're losing our income. Our lives are being turned upside down. And these Republicans, when they knew how bad it was going to be for us, thought only of themselves and their wallets. And they did everything they could to take care of themselves while lying to us about what was really going to happen. That is inexcusable. And every one of these people should be stripped of their office and hopefully sent to jail for quite a long time. One of today's video sponsors is Skillshare, and right now Skillshare has a very special offer for our Ring of Fire viewers. The first 500 people to click on the link at the top of the video description below are going to receive 2 months free Skillshare Premium membership. The first 500 only, so make sure you click that link and sign up today. If you're not familiar with Skillshare, it's an online learning community. They offer thousands of different classes in dozens of different areas. You can learn anything from video editing, photography, or even things that could benefit you in your personal life, productivity, arts and crafts, all kinds of things that you may have always thought about wanting to learn, but never had the time to do it. And Skillshare offers you exactly that. These are classes tailored around your schedule. You don't have to worry about meeting deadlines or being in a certain place at a certain time. Skillshare works for you. And that is what is so great about this. I'm currently taking a class about iPhone filmmaking so that I can make better short films for my Twitter, my Instagram, and every other social media account here through Ring of Fire. So whether you're wanting to learn a new skill to maybe help out around your office, or maybe you want to learn a new skill just because it's something you've been dying to learn how to do, I promise you, Skillshare has exactly what you're looking for. And again, click the link at the top of the video description below, and the first 500 people to do so and sign up are going to receive a 2-month free trial of Skillshare Premium.